for the past 6 months or so, I had hidden behind the camera and I didn't like taking pictures. And so it just happened to be the weekend before the entries were due for the challenge.
Okay.
And so I think that evening I texted Kyle and I said, you know who should do the challenge? Me. I should do the challenge.
Abbey, welcome back to Fit for Business. This is Karen here on another episode of our podcast, and I'm excited to welcome Abbey back. She was actually one of the favorites on the podcast so far. That may be just me making up statistics, though, so she'll feel better and be more confident on this podcast. Who knows?
I feel like my whole life is like that with Karen. She's my hype girl.
I got you. So this is a very different episode. I don't believe we've done one like this at all from anybody, Forrest, Kyle, anything. So we are going a little different direction because we think we had a very unique circumstance behind the scenes, which we see transformations all the time in front of the scenes with our clients. Well, this time, this girl, Abbey, had a transformation, and it was very intentional and on purpose. So first of all, Abbey, tell me, because I want everyone on the edge of their seat on how you did it, but tell me what you did. What was your weight loss, body fat percentage, how long? What are the amazing results?
Yeah, so very excited to share. I think the preface to that is why I did. So like, I've always...
We're going to get there.
Okay.
I want them to be like, what? Girl lost what?
Okay, fair. So what it was...
this is the teaser.
Okay, so 7 weeks... I lost 12 pounds, like between 11 and 12 pounds, and 6% body fat. I think I gained like 2 pounds of muscle.
So how many pounds of fat did you lose? Do you know? It's okay if you don't remember.
Yeah, I mean.
But that's all fat pounds.
Yeah, all fat pounds because I gained muscle.
Gained muscle.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit, just for those who don't know. So we measure on an InBody here at Iron Tribe. So why is it important that we don't just look at the scale?
Because I think there's a bigger story to tell, right? So like a lot of times people want to look different, not necessarily care about the scale, but they want their clothes to fit better, or they want to get a picture of themselves taken and look different. And it all tells a different story based off our body fat percentage or our muscle mass. So that's kind of why it's important to have that InBody as such a great resource, because the scale doesn't tell the whole story.
Right.
Yeah.
We've had multiple clients who have come in and they're like, my body's changing, but the scale hasn't. And they might want to quit. They might not be getting results. And then we'll put them on there and it's like, well, of course your clothes are fitting differently and your body's changed. You've lost 10 pounds of fat, but gained 10 pounds of muscle. That's probably an irrational example. But when we're able to do that, it's like, you're switching. So the weight may stay the same, but what the density of it is and what's healthy and what's not can just transition a little bit. So it's really important. A lot of women will get older. The scale will stay the same, but their body's bigger and they're confused. Well, it's because they're gaining fat pounds and losing muscle, right? Same thing with men, same thing with anything. So I think it's really important that when we do our measurements as Iron Tribe and, as members, as staff, we make certain that we look at that because that is the healthy version to look at. The scale just doesn't tell the story. So I thought that's important. Body fat percentage, all of that for long-term health. So with that said, we had a behind the scenes challenge. We do a coach conference every year. Kyle, our director of programming, is in charge of putting together a challenge. And we usually do 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how far out we want to plan it, leading up until the coach conference. So all the coaches, managers, staff across the brand can enter into this just like our members can in our challenge in the gym, but we do one just for fun for us. And it's a body composition challenge. So before pictures, InBody, what else? Is that all?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. So we go ahead and get those pre-measurements and then we see who does the best at the end. So spoiler alert, Abbey was the winner. So I have her on here. Though we had great results from everybody, Abbey ended up winning it. So Abbey, when Kyle rolls out this challenge this year and you're looking at it, what made you go, okay, I'm gonna sign up?
Yeah, so I'll be honest. I was at a baseball game and took a picture with my family, and instantly when I saw that picture, I hated what I saw.
I didn't know this story.
Yeah, it's really emotional. for the past 6 months or so, I had hidden behind the camera. And I didn't like taking pictures. And so it just happened to be the weekend before the entries were due for the challenge.
Okay.
And so I think that evening I texted Kyle and I said, you know who should do the challenge? Me. I should do the challenge because I don't like what I see. So that's kind of what led to that decision.
Okay. So tell me the gap. So you were obviously, I mean, you work here. So you were working out in the gym. You were doing our group classes. You've always done really well there. You've just been able to maintain your fitness even from college, right? I think actually you've told me you're in better shape doing Iron Tribe now than you ever even were in college sports, right? So you do that. What we didn't mention is you go on maternity leave, you have a baby, right? And you come back to your normal routine-ish with a baby. You're eating snacks that at home that you probably shouldn't be eating, all the kind of things that moms always say happens. What was the decision between post-baby, coming back to work out, trying it on your own in essence with the knowledge that you already had because you've worked here forever? You know what you're supposed to do. What wasn't working for you attempting to do it on your own with your own knowledge and not yet reaching out to one of our coaches? I know we feel weird asking our coaches for help because it's their job and I don't want to be a burden to them.
Right, yeah.
But what made you just be like, no, I need to do the personal training program. It's time.
Yeah. So I got back into the gym postpartum 6 weeks, like the second they were like, you can get back in, because I just loved the group classes. I loved the community, the workouts, all those types of things. So for the first 6 months postpartum, I was super consistent in the gym, but was just kind of like eating whatever I wanted. The holidays had come up. Like I was doing all the things, but I was consistent and I was seeing like a little bit of change. Like if you look at my InBody stats from December until the start of the challenge, I think over the course of like those 4 or 5 months, I had lost like, 4 or 5 pounds but it wasn't what I wanted. And so I just knew that, yes, I know what to do. I know how to eat. I know how to be consistent. I know in terms of in the gym, I know how to be consistent. And it was just like, okay, I need help. Am I willing to raise my hand like I preach to our clients? Am I willing to say, I know what to do, but no one's holding me accountable in terms of like what I'm eating. And so I have spent the last 4 years coaching, getting new members into our gyms, like saying what we do that works, but wasn't actually like practicing it myself to the fullest extent. I was consistent doing all of those things. And so I knew that if I could get a coach that would hold me accountable, and I knew that I could just pay more attention to the details, that it would work out. And I think the biggest thing for anybody that's trying to make a change was for me, the ability to hold on past like the 2-week mark of, if I can just do this for 2 weeks, show that it works, it'll help me in the end. So I just knew that the accountability piece of what I was eating was missing for me.
So tell me a little bit though. So you say accountability. I know you had a custom plan, right? And so tell me how it helped you to know, okay, I just have to eat this. Not necessarily the food, but how much food to eat, when to eat it. That was adjusted weekly, and then you have this custom workout for you as well that could continue to be changed. So it's one thing, yes, you had accountability, but everything changed. It wasn't just like you went to a coach in a group class, which you could have, and said, hey, hold me accountable, and they would have, right? But you went to our personal training program fully as if you were a client and got the whole experience. So tell me not just about the accountability, but everything was different.
Yeah, like I knew that every week I was going to have a nutrition call check-in. And every week I was going to have to almost like recall my decisions for the week before. Not in a bad way, but it was more so like...
It could have been.
But that was what I needed. I needed to know that like every decision I made in regards to food that I was going to have to answer to in a great, positive, healthy way of... I'm only going to cheat myself if I don't do this to the fullest extent. So everything changed in terms of the intention and the workouts that I was doing. Like I know I wanted to get better at pull-ups. Well, I knew that in order to get better at pull-ups, I needed to be lighter. And in order to be lighter, I needed to eat right. And so those, like I had pull-ups, programmed into my workouts and all those types of things. So yes, everything did change in regards to accountability in the way that I was just having more touch points, a lot more intention behind the work that we were doing.
So tell me, because we're friends, so you would text me pictures of your food and it looked fantastic. You still owe me that shrimp dish.
Yeah.
Which we should probably put that recipe out because it looked insane. So tell me, week 1 or 2 is usually really hard for anybody to make changes. You're hungry, you don't want to do it. It'd be easier to tell your husband, let's just go to Mexican. Like all of a sudden, just even your hormones start to shift and you don't even know why you're agitated, right? So tell me a little bit about, we don't have to go too far into details, but like the majority of, I think, what is gained through accountability is discipline of belief you can then do something, right? So tell me how you kind of got your Bambi legs under you through the first couple weeks of probably self-talk, probably your coach telling you, just what is the importance of that perseverance in the first couple weeks of starting any fitness routine?
Yeah. So the first couple days, you're like, I'm at a state where I'm just fed up. You're like, I
feel that.
Yeah. Like I tell our clients this all the time. Like you have to get to a point where you are fed up, and that is going to be the motivator in the first week, right? Like everything I've done, no, I'm not going to pick up that extra thing of peanut butter. No, because why? Because I am fed up. And y'all can ask my husband this. I would be like, take it out of the house. Don't let me do it. But all that to say is that when I did get my plan, I was able to plan out the first week. And I knew that if I was prepared, because I think a lot of times it's just lack of preparation. A lot of times we get into a situation where we didn't think we were going to be in the car and we were, so I tried to plan every single meal or snack or whatever it might be based off the plan that I was given. And then the first, like you said, the first week or 2 is the hardest because you haven't seen the results yet. And I just knew that if I could hang on for the first 2 weeks and then start to see the change, then you're like, you take a deep breath and you're like, okay, this works, right? And then that's the motivation that you need to continue, because you're like, I want to preface this by saying I went from not being able to do one day of good eating, eating on a plan, to doing it for 7 straight weeks. Okay. A couple factors go into that. Number 1 is being fed up. Number 2 is lasting more than 2 weeks. So anybody that says they've ever tried to do something and it didn't work, my first question is, did you do it more than 2 weeks?
It's funny you say that, because a long time ago, I used to run a lot of data on our tribe members. Day 13 is when the majority of people would fall off on our 6-week challenges or transformation challenge, anything. And I thought that was so strange, but you know why? They made it through one weekend, and that's the very second weekend. It's a Saturday, Sunday, depending on when it starts, that they're like, I deserve it.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So I think there's a couple different ways you could look at it, right? Like maybe that 14-day mark hits and you've lost 2 pounds, and then your immediate reaction is to go, well, I deserve it. And I think in that moment, I was just kind of like, wow, this works. So I'm going to keep doing it, because it's taken me a while to figure out what that is that works. And so for me, that was kind of like the moving piece to being able to continue for longer, like from going from Abbey, who hasn't been able to eat on a plan for 1 whole day, and the anxiety that comes along with that. And then also being the person that could do it for 7 straight weeks. And I think I got emotional in a meeting of ours before the challenge and was like, I want to be the person that does XYZ, but I'm not willing to do the things in order to get there. And that was a hard look in the mirror of what establish those things that's going to help you get to where you want to be, and then put the boundaries in your life that's going to help you get there. And for me, that was nutrition check-ins, accountability, personal training, all those types of things in order to get to my desired outcome. Because I knew what it was, I just wasn't willing to do it until I got fed up.
I love it. 2 things before we close out. So 1, I think our audience is pretty mixed that listens to this podcast. So it's either fitness professionals, or fortunately, we have a lot of people that are just in business that want to listen, right? So let's talk through one thing. So if a coach is listening to this, what do you think they could do in the next 2 weeks for any of the clients they have right now that you think would really benefit the client experience, but that the coach could tangibly go and do for their client?
I would say consistency and accountability really helped me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew that my nutrition check-in was going to be at Friday at 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't random. It wasn't whenever my coach thought about it. It was thought out through full intention.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really helpful as well. And then I also knew that my coach cared just as much as I did, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not something that can, like, there's not like a XYZ study guide plan to execute that, but it is in the way that we communicate with our people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I shared every day I came in, I was like, I'm down 2 more pounds. And it was like the look on my coach's face.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, like, I can't get pizza tonight. Like, my coach is depending on me. So it was just like the care and intention with that. But I would say consistency in the way that you reach out and the way that you follow up. And then also just making sure that your clients know that you care. And it's not like I would have an InBody scan, or I'd have results, and Alex or whoever, was in there that day would like stop. Like, they would be like, okay, let's talk about it. Like, and then, and I don't expect everybody to just drop what they're doing, because things are important. But at the same time, I never felt brushed off. Mm-hmm. Like, there was so much care and intention behind it.
Second question. It's almost like you don't have to lose 100 pounds. You have to prove that you can. So after 2 weeks, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm disciplined. I can do this. I think, I didn't grow up a fitness person. I love business, and I love that fitness is now the tool that I'm able to work in, because I think it goes across all aspects of life, right? So with that, I believe taking care of your body is one of the most important things. Like, I believe in Jesus and spirituality, but also I need a body to worship Jesus and to, all of the things. So I think it's at the core of something that's really, really important. So with that said, anybody on the fence about fitness not being important or whatever, I want them to hear from you after that weight loss journey of post-baby, not really sure what this new body is. You work, you support a husband, you enjoy cooking, you got to juggle a new infant who's changing every single day. How is it that you found a newfound confidence that gave to the rest of your life? Whereas a lot of people are fearful that fitness takes away because of the time and the energy. And how did this reinvigorate you in other areas?
Yeah, I feel like every person that's on the fence, I've been there in the silent moments, in the thoughts of, why can't I just be consistent at something? Like, why? There were so many moments where I'm just by myself and I'm doing whatever. And there's that moment where you have that self-talk and you're like, if I could just do what I said I was going to do. And I think every person that has either struggled with a fitness journey or struggled with their weight, they've had those types of conversations. And when I tell y'all that the pride that you feel of setting a goal and reaching that goal, like, you feel like a superhuman, like you feel like Superman when you're like, I looked at Karen and I'm like, and I told people about it because I knew that once I spoke it into existence, that the people in my life weren't going to let me back out. And most of the times when people have a fitness journey that they want to take, but they're scared to, they don't tell anybody because they don't want to be that person that keeps going back on their word. So I told as many people as I could about it. But I looked at Karen and I said, Karen, I'm going to win this challenge. And I'm like, I'm like trying to speak into Karen my belief, because I'm like trying to convince myself that I believe that I can do that. But every time that you have those moments where you're disappointed in yourself or you haven't found that thing, like, I feel it and I feel I've been there. And what I want to encourage you of is that it can change, but it can't change until you change. It can't change until you say, okay, to keep doing the same thing over again and not getting the result that you want, like, you have, like I said, you have to get to that point where you're fed up. You have to get to that point where it just bothers you enough. I think I saw a video of this guy. I don't want to butcher this, but he sells cars. Okay. And he teaches people how to go sell cars. And this poor guy he brought up on stage and he said, he had him take his shirt off.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And he grabbed him and he said, does this bother you? And he said, yeah, it does. And he goes, okay, what doesn't bother you enough? I mean, y'all, that hit me like a freight train. And so I would constantly tell the people in my life, oh, I need to lose weight. I need to do this. I need to do that. but I wasn't willing to do the things that it took to get there. So the people that are on the fence, I would say, like, you got to find that thing and you got to be determined enough to stick with it. So
perfect. Any other advice for?
You can do it.
You want to brag a little on yourself?
Wow.
I mean, don't you feel great? Are you so proud?
I feel
I know
great.
we hit on it, but
I'll tell this to the moms.
Please.
Because I do have something for the moms. Is that losing the post-baby weight, it gave me the confidence that, like, whatever situation I'll be met with in the future, that I can get out of it. And I can do it through the habits that I've built. So a lot of times it didn't happen by chance. Like, it happened through intentional work, hard work. And so that I know that, like, okay, if, the Lord blesses us with more children in the future, that I can get myself out of that situation if I need to. Like, what I knew is that I didn't want it to compound over time.
Sure.
And so I wanted to be able to say, okay, in my life, I've been in this before. How do I get out of it?
Yep.
And it was the first time I've ever tried to lose weight. It was the first time I had been met with that type of confrontation, because, like Karen said, I was a collegiate athlete. I joined Iron Tribe the day after graduation and had just continued that the entire time. So I'd never really had been, like, my back was against the wall. What am I going to do? Am I going to continue to live in this continuous cycle of every day you're getting ready for bed and you're like, gosh, when is enough? Like, why can't I just seem to make a decision, stick with it, work out, eat right, do all those things, because I know I'm going to be happier when I do it. And so for the moms out there and for the guys, anybody, that you want to be able to, like, have the control of outcomes. And I want to be able to control this outcome.
I love it. Awesome. Well, great episode. I'm glad you won.
Woo!
Did you enjoy all those prizes?
I know, right?
Yes,
that was awesome.
Yes.
I still haven't I need to go to Target. I still haven't spent the prize money.
Don't go buy a little baby nightgown.
I know.
That's how you spend all your money. Spend it on you.
I know. I need to figure out what that is.
More face lotion that you love.
Probably moisturizer. I'll talk to y'all about some moisturizer. That's another podcast that we'll get on.
Beauty products. All right, Abbey. Well, great job. I know that you've gained more than you've lost. That was a pun intended.
It was nice.
I know. It just came out.
She's funny and she's pretty. If you're watching on video, you'd know that.
You would know that. And I think that's it for today. Thanks for joining me again. I know you're a fan favorite, at least of mine, and I'm sure I'll see you back here.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.